Hey everyone. Good to see everyone popping on. All right, I am going to pin my video. There we go. Hello, hello. I'm also going to flip my shades quickly because it's a little bright in here this morning. Let's see. All right, everyone. Welcome. It's Sunday. Super excited to see everyone here. Want you all to take a little minute and congratulate yourselves. You've now shown up 4 days, and even that on a Sunday. For some of you, it's early. So congratulations for making it this far. We have technically 1 day left, but I'm going to spoiler alert something for you guys. I'm doing a training for you on Tuesday as well. So we're going an extra day. So if you guys want to mark your calendars for Tuesday, 9 Pacific, 10 Mountain, 11 Central, 12 Eastern. Say that 10 times fast. We will be going live on Tuesday as well. So today's content is a little heavier. But it's really important, and I will tell you why. I'll get into it. But first, everyone who's been dropping stuff on Instagram, super awesome. I've been resharing pretty much everything you guys tag me in on Instagram. It's getting you all extra entries for the large grand prize. Super cool. Keep them coming. Also the Facebook, remembering that if you want to enter in to win the daily stuff, you have to comment on both threads in Facebook. There will be one going up shortly after we wrap, and another one again this afternoon. Everyone, I'm trying to get in there and read and like and respond to as many as I can. So loving all of the comments left in there. And I don't know if she's on here. I don't think she is on the live call today. I'm trying to scroll through. There's a few names on here that I don't know and a few phone numbers. But yesterday's winner is Andy Blanton. Blanton? I will message you once we're done with this. Congratulations, Andy. She commented on both threads yesterday in day 3. So let's get into it, guys. Today's going to be good and a little different than probably what you've been experiencing the last few days. So I am well aware that there are several people that have been struggling with this training and having a really hard time, like even on day 2, getting past their now to be able to tap into the energy of the future. And even if you guys aren't struggling, I know, because I still experience it every day too, and I've been doing this shit for well over a decade, that you're probably still experiencing some things inside along the lines of doubts, along the lines of fears, maybe that negative inner naysayer, that negative Nancy that lives within all of us has been starting to rear her head and tell you that Bree's full of shit. And this actually isn't possible. You actually don't have the power to create this. You actually don't deserve it, right? That voice is unique within each one of us, but I can pretty much guarantee that every single person on this call watching the replay has it. Now, if I'm wrong, correct me in the comments below, but I am like 99.9% sure that we're all experiencing this to some level. These are the doubts, the fears, the stories, the beliefs, the barriers, the limitations that we all have that then feed into things like procrastination and excuses and victimhood and that like negative self-talk spiral that all of us can get into, right? So we're going to dive into a little bit more of why this happens today. And then I'm going to give you your homework. So the first thing I want all of you to know, there's some conflicting science about this. There's some conflicting information online. In fact, I was just online seeing if I could find like the newest estimate. But it is estimated that each one of us experiences 70,000 to 600,000 thoughts a day. That is a lot of fucking thoughts. Now, of those, and I didn't do this math, but of those, only 5% of them are conscious. So 95% of the thoughts we have are unconscious thoughts that have been created throughout our lives. And some of these unconscious thoughts are things like breathe in, breathe out. And some of these unconscious thoughts are things like, I don't deserve it. And I'm not worthy of this. And those kinds of things. So we're actually very conditioned to have these thoughts. And there's two ways that we are conditioned to have these thoughts. The first is a biological conditioning. So our brains are like computers. They are like, the problem with our brains being like computers is that they're not like the now computers. They're like the Apple, what was it, E2 computers that came out back in the 80s, that, not to date myself, I remember sitting in elementary school, the green screen ones, playing like Oregon Trail, right? Like that you could see them move like 1 pixel at a time. That's what exists in our heads, is like a super, super outdated computer. Now, when we were cavemen, we needed that. We needed it because we were actually physically in danger a lot. And so our brains developed this fight or flight response. And the reason that happened was because we were having to distinguish between safety and not safety. And the unfortunate part is that as the rest of us have evolved, as our bodies have evolved, as our culture has evolved, as our beliefs have evolved, our knowledge, all this stuff, our brains are pretty much still operating at that like E2 caveman level, fight or flight, safety or danger. Now, because of this, our brains are always going to do their best to keep us in safety. So our brains will do things like say, you don't deserve this, this isn't possible for you, you're crazy to think that that's even something that you could achieve in your life, no one's going to take you seriously, you're an imposter, everyone is going to find you out. Those thoughts that we have are simply thoughts designed to keep us in that safety mode. Because our brains perceive these big, wild, crazy dreams that we have as unsafe. The reason our brains perceive it that way is because we can't yet touch our dreams. We can touch our now reality, right? Like I know exactly where I am in my place. I can touch my desk. I can touch exactly where I am. I can see the reality of my situation. That's my comfort zone right now. That's my safety net. The things that are outside our safety net, remember we talked yesterday, your dreams do not live in your comfort zone. So your dream, thinking about your vision, is likely going to throw you into fight or flight. And because it throws you into fight or flight, your brain is going to do everything in its power to get you back to safety. So basically, I liken this to every time you think about your dream or your vision or your big ideas, or I can see Amber's face modeling for Aerie, or you can see Nicole's face starting that business, right? Like anytime your brain thinks about these things, it's literally as if there's a saber-toothed tiger chasing you and your brain is like, we are in danger, get us back to safety right now. So biologically, we are fighting our brains. Our dream is in constant opposition to our biological nature. Now, the second thing is that our culture and our society teaches us to stay away from our dreams. Our culture and our society gives us those doubts, gives us those hesitations, those fears, reinforces within us those limitations. And there's a few reasons for this. One, not to get too hyper political or what's the word? conspiracy theorist. But if you guys have looked into or noticed in any way, shape, or form, our entire school system that we're brought up in is taught to make us sheep. Because the more that we're free thinkers and the more freedom we each have and the more money each and every one of us make, the more that it threatens the societal structures that are currently in place within our world. So that's one thing. The other thing that happens is that when we're little, we have a lot of experiences. And our brain doesn't know any better. Remember, it's a super, super, super basic operating machine. And so we'll have an experience where, so for example, I don't think Mom's on this call this morning. I always use her as a guinea pig. I feel so bad. My mom is the best, you guys. But I was raised by a single mom, and she had a lot going on. She had 3 jobs. She was trying to raise me, battling legal systems, all sorts of stuff. And she forgot me. She forgot to pick me up one day after school. Now, it's simple little things like that that literally become programs in our brains to say things. Now, this was not my case. I'm just using this as an example of, my mom forgot me. I must not be important. I must not be worthy. I must not be lovable. Our brains are so basic that we'll have one small little experience and it will write an operating program in our brains. And then what happens is, it's like on your phone, it's an app. Anytime that anyone forgets to call you back or forgets to respond to your email, it's like you're opening that app on your computer that's popping up with I'm not worthy, I'm not lovable, I don't deserve for people to respond to me, I don't deserve to be picked up after school, I don't deserve for people to pay attention to me, right? Does that make sense? So these little things that we have when we're kids plant seeds within us, and we don't know any better, and we start writing programming. We start writing our operating system from a very, very, very young age. And that operating system continues to play out. Like I said, our brains are super outdated. We haven't had the ability to do a software update on our brains. So the software that we're running in our head on this super outdated computer that wants to keep us where we are is playing out things that we likely experience from the ages of newborn to like 8 or 9 years old. That's part of why I got into hypnotherapy. Because for me, I had my first hypnotherapy session about 11 months ago. And I realized that a trauma I experienced as a child was still playing itself out every single day as an entrepreneur as I opened up my laptop. So we're fighting our biology, we're fighting our conditioning, we're fighting our societal, norms, right? And all of these things all layered on top of us, especially depending on, our ages, is year after year after year what has conditioned our thoughts and our beliefs to be exactly what they are. So the important thing to know about this is, with all the neuroscience and brain cognitive research understandings that are going on right now, there are ways to change and recondition your brain. There are ways to become aware of those thoughts that you're having and shift them. Now, the hard thing about this is, I see the neural pathways in our brain, the like little receptors that connect and transmit information and everything. I see it as if you're walking through a forest. So right now, the neural pathways that are going on in your brain are like that well-worn path, right? So if you see yourself standing in a forest, there's like a really clear path in front of you. Those are the brain patterns, the habits, the neural pathways that are currently active in your brain. Now, in order to create new neural pathways, you have to literally like forage through this forest, macheting and cutting and breaking and clearing brush all the way through this forest to create this new pathway. And you have to let the old ones kind of grow over. So the issue with this is that this isn't a one-time fix. This isn't well, today I'll think different thoughts. your brain is going to want to default back to the well-worn path because that's just what it does. That's the programming it's used to. So this is about forging through that new, like creating that new pathway again and again and again and again. Studies have been shown that, you know how people say it takes 21 days to build a habit, a new habit? That statistic is for things like drinking an extra glass of water a day or brushing your teeth before you go to bed. Like that's for really mundane, unemotional, doesn't really matter habits. Habits for things like your thoughts, your beliefs, your doubts, your fears, all of that stuff typically take upwards of 6 to 12 months of daily application. So when we talked on day 2 about your thoughts directing the universe, the good habit that we're pulling in, right? Those 10 times a day, it's super, super, super important. And it's also concurrently important to be clearing out the old habits, clearing out the old programmings, because what happens is your thoughts direct your feelings. Ever notice how you have a thought out of nowhere and then all of a sudden you're in a bad mood, or you're in a funk, or you're feeling like you just feel off? Your thoughts direct your feelings. Your feelings are going to directly contribute to your actions or your inactions. This is where procrastination comes in. And then your actions or your inactions are then directly going to contribute to your results. And then once you have those results, you get back into the spiral of your results are going to feed certain thoughts. Oh, I failed. That failure makes me feel bad. That feeling bad means I'm not going to go do those active inspired actions today. And by not doing those active inspired actions, I'm going to get poor results again, which is going to make me feel like shit again and have bad thoughts, right? So it's this spiral, it's this cycle. And the way you cut it off is by starting with your thoughts. So I know this feels really heavy today, and I'm going to tell you exactly why. I have noticed a few people have already commented, thank you. Jen says, so happy you're talking about this. This totally overcame me this morning. Nicole says, I woke up feeling anxious and filled with doubt this morning. Carissa said, I did my first YouTube video about this in regards to mental health. Amber said, yesterday I was on such a high, and this morning I woke up questioning whether it truly could all happen. So good, you guys. We're totally on the same vibe. So most people in doing this work want to just ignore this stuff. They want to just push past it. I hear people all the time being like, well, I just need to push through my procrastination and just fucking do it already. And to that I say, if that's you, best of luck with that. Let me know how it goes. Because if you're choosing to push past and push through, hold on. Come on, princess. If you're choosing to push past and push through your hesitations, your doubts, your fears, your things, it's like having an elephant in the room. Still fucking there. Just because you don't see it and you don't look at it doesn't mean it's not there. I always ask people this. When you have a piece of furniture in your home that you don't want anymore, I just did this. I just set up my desk here. There's a big chair here before. You have a piece of furniture that you don't want in your home anymore. What do you do with it? Do you just throw a sheet over it and pretend it's not there? Or do you take it to Goodwill or put it out on the corner with a big free sign on it? Just because you're not looking at it doesn't mean it's not there. It's still there. It's just in your unconscious. The more you can be conscious of it, like I've talked about all week, awareness is the first key. The more you can be aware of it, the easier it is to transform it. If you're pretending like it's not there, you can't change it. But it's still there running the show. So you all know we live in a culture that doesn't want to look at this shit. They don't want to do this work. They want to just throw a coat of happiness on it and put on a big smile and say everything's great and everything's fine. Hey. And it doesn't work that way. So there is one caveat I want to add. This is not to say that I want you guys to dwell on this shit. It's not to say that I want you to go down that spiral and feel crappy all day. This is not about giving power to your doubts or your fears. It's about becoming aware of them so that you can transform them. There's a difference there. Do you guys feel that difference? Versus dwelling and awareness, there's a difference. So I want you guys to remember this. We all have neutral thoughts every day, right? Things like, oh, I need to go to the bathroom. Oh, I forgot to go to the grocery store. Oh, I need to go get this. Oh, I have to like feed the cats. Oh, like neutral thoughts, right? Thoughts are thoughts are thoughts are thoughts. The only thing that differentiates the thoughts that you have in your head is the energy that you give to it. I don't give energy to, oh, I have to feed the cats. It's a thought. It comes, it goes, I feed the cats and move on. The same can be said for your negative patterning, your negative thoughts. It is a choice to give them power. When they pass, when they pop up, you can witness them, you can experience them the same as, I have to go to the bathroom, I forgot to go to the grocery store, I have to feed the cats, oh, I need to go get gas. The only thing that differentiates them is literally the attention and the emotion that you put into them. The more emotion, the more energy you feed them, the bigger they get. But if you simply witness them as, oh, look at that, I'm human and I'm having a thought again. You don't need to believe every thought you think. So today, I want you guys to be in awareness of these thoughts. I want you to witness when they come up. If you need, get out a journal, write them down, get them out of you, and don't give them power. So today's homework is to really turn a flashlight. I don't know if you guys heard that. Sorry. Crazy noises going on in my ear. So I want you to turn a flashlight on your self-talk, on your thoughts, on your beliefs. Oh, Eric, yes, this is totally it. I actually was going to bring this up earlier, and then I was like, I don't know if I'm going to have time. There's a really great Native American parable, I guess, or I forget the exact word. And it's a little boy, and he's talking to his grandfather, and his grandfather's saying to him, you know, I have two wolves that live inside of me. One is full of evil and greed and anger and envy. And the other wolf is full of goodness and kindness and grace and peace. And these two wolves are constantly fighting. They're having this battle within me at all times. And the little boy looks at the grandfather and says, well, Grandpa, which one wins? And the grandpa said, the one I feed. So today, it's not about giving them power, but it's also not about ignoring them. We don't just want to gloss over them. That is what people call spiritual bypassing. We don't want to ignore them. We don't want to throw a sheet over them. We don't want them to be the elephant in the room that's following us around for another decade or 2 or 5. We want to shine a flashlight on them. We want to look into the shadows. We want to look at the darkness, and we want to transform it. The best way to transform darkness is to shine light upon it. This isn't about also being mean to yourself either. Remember, this is your biology. This is your conditioning. This is society. It has nothing to do with you. It is simply a habit. It's a bad habit that you have. That's it. Don't get down on yourself. Just observe it, be aware of it, and then the next piece of the homework is I want you to pick at least one, You can be aware of as many as you want, but I want you to pick one. Maybe the one that's the most persistent, maybe the one that elicits the most emotion within you, maybe the one that you just find is like so like happens every hour, every day, you know, like the one that's just there, not letting up at all. I want you to pick one, and I want you to start shifting it. Remembering that that one that you're picking is that well-worn path in the forest of your mind. And what we're going to do is we're going to let that path grow over. We're going to let that path become an unwalkable one. And you're going to create a new path for yourself today, okay? So if you have thoughts of like, well, I'm not good enough, no one's going to respond to the emails I sent yesterday, what could you think instead? What could you believe instead? So Stephanie said at the end of the day, or when you notice the thoughts, or both. Personally, for me, it's easier to do it in the moment. So whether you use the Notes app on your phone or whether you carry a notebook around with you, whatever that looks like, be in witness mode today. And when it pops up, simply write it down. Just write it down. If you have time to look at it deeper in that moment, do it. If you don't have time until later on tonight to look deeper at it, do it then. But if we think like, oh, I had that thought, I'm gonna address that tonight, it's very likely that when you go back tonight, it's not gonna be there. So write it down, get it out of your head, be aware of it, shine a flashlight on it, and then pick one. What would you believe instead? What would you think instead? Okay? And now I want you guys to remember too, this is not just today's work. Just like your second piece of homework is not just one day work. So in addition to this, I still want you guys to do the 10 vibes today, okay? And if you feel inspired, do another piece of action today as well. Changing these neural pathways is not just one-time work. This is a regular, consistent thing. I keep notes all over. In fact, the back of my computer screen is positive neural pathway reprogrammings. I have signs up on my altar that's right here behind me. I have notes, I have Post-its, I have a lot of people write on their mirrors, they put it on their cell phones. Like the more that you can start to think these new thoughts, the more that you can make these new thoughts your habit, the easier it's going to be for you to transmit that signal to the universe. Okay? So remember, just because if you woke up today having these thoughts, there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing bad about it. You're not going to fuck up your manifestations. Simply an opportunity for you to do some healing work. An opportunity to remember that your thoughts are not you, and you don't have to believe every thought you think, and that you have the power to change those thoughts. You can change your habits, you can change your conditioning. Sound good? All right. So as usual, you guys will get the replay in your inbox within the next like half hour. It takes time to convert, and then I have to get it up online and all the things. And then the biggest takeaway post will be up in Facebook in a little bit. And then later on this evening, you will have the question. I think today's question is going to be something along the lines of, what was the one thought that you picked, and how are you choosing to turn it around? What are you choosing to think instead? Okay? Keep going, everyone. I know this day always feels a little heavy. It feels a little like the momentum has stalled, but I promise it hasn't stalled. This is a completely normal and natural part of the process. You've got to look at the darkness in order to have the light. Stephanie said, does it have to be related to your manifestation? No. I mean, it probably is somehow tied in, because the more and more you dwell in the energy of your manifestation, the more these little gremlins are going to pop up and be like, oh no, you're never going to build that business. You're never going to have that modeling campaign. You're never going to write that book. That coloring book that you're making, Stephanie. Nope. Sorry. Like, the more you dwell in the energy, the more you bring in that light, right? The more these little gremlins are going to pop in to try to like bring you back down, bring you back into your comfort zone. So it doesn't have to be related, but it may actually be related, and you might just not have recognized it. And Janelle says, for me, I'm both excited and all amen preach, and the other side wants to cry. So many ahas. This was great. Good. Does anyone, I know we're at time, does anyone have any questions for me before we wrap for the day? I think I've tried to get most of them as they've been coming in. One new message. Meredith, so are we creating affirmations? Yes, you can call it an affirmation. For me, it's just a new thought pattern. So the thing about affirmations is that, in fact, I wrote a blog ages ago that like affirmations don't work. And the thing about affirmations and the thing about this stuff too is that it's not about just slapping a Band-Aid on. I think a lot of people use affirmations as like just putting a Band-Aid on and like not having to deal with the shit, not having to look at it, just being like, well, if I think positive enough, it'll just go away. Yes and no. You have to get into, like, you have to do the healing work. You have to get into the wound before you can put the affirmation on, right? So I think for what I've seen in the industry is that a lot of affirmations are just applied and the first work isn't done. Like, oh, well, if I say a happy affirmation, then I don't actually have to look at the shit. I'm encouraging you guys to do both today. Awareness and solution, not just solution. You can say all the positive, woo-woo, happy, Band-Aid affirmation things you want all day, every day. And I can guarantee you'll be back in this challenge with me in next month or the month after that, or however long I decide to continue running this. So yes, affirmations and healing work as well. Okay. Stephanie says, I'm already frustrated with myself because I didn't get to my cover like I wanted. So this could be one of your habits. This could be one of your thought patterns. Because you said, you're like, I actually did finish a different project. So if your brain is conditioned to focus on the negative versus conditioned to focus on like, oh my God, look at what I did get done. Your brain is conditioned to pull you away from those active inspired actions and pull you more towards distractions, right? Like maybe that's a thought pattern you need to look at. It might not just be a single statement. It might be a habitual pattern, right? This is really individual to each and every one of you. So I want you to just get aware today of like, is being hard on yourself a beneficial thought to be having? Is it? In fact, I just read this morning, so I'm all woo. And I just read this morning, so today is 9/9. And I read on foreverconscious.com about the 9/9 gateway. So you guys know repeating numbers are significant. So this article I read this morning said the first relationship we have is with ourselves. And this is the relationship that is most important. When we learn to love ourselves, we can learn to love others. When we learn to open up to the fullness of ourselves, this is when we can open up to others. If you need healing, if you need more love in your life and your heart, the gateway today is here to start. The day is perfect to start healing, releasing, and letting go of painful baggage so that you can connect with your full power. So, no accident that we are doing what we are doing today. Oh yeah, and Amy said if you add 18 together, it equals 9, so it's really 999. Very true. There's also stuff online today about it being 9911 because it's an 11 year. So I'll post the link to the thing if anyone wants to read it. It's also a new moon today as well. New moons are about darkness. This is the day of the month when we have the least amount of light in the sky. So today is also a really good day to be doing some of this stuff, releasing some of these things and setting intentions for this new habit, this new thought pattern that you're bringing in. Okay? If you guys have any questions, shoot them over to me in the Facebook community. Loving all the engagement, all the comments, all the thoughts, the provoking questions, the insights, the shares. Keep them coming. Again, celebrate yourself. You are now 4 days in to the challenge. Again, I promise this day is not about losing momentum. It's not. Shedding some of this stuff, letting go of some of this baggage, cleaning out some of this energy, getting rid of the energetic, chairs covered in sheets that are in your body, in your house, in your home, right? That is you. It's going to open you up for what's to come tomorrow. Tomorrow's one of my favorite days, you guys, not to tease you to show up on the call tomorrow, but it is legitimately one of the best days. So, Carissa says, what if an inspired action comes that feels related to a different vision you aren't currently focusing on? Here's my advice. Actually, I'm going to put my advice about that in the group. Can I copy this? I'm going to put my advice about this in the group so you guys can head over to the Facebook group, see my answer to this, and also a little caveat that I have about passive actions versus active actions, because Nicole brought something up yesterday that was very appropriate and important for me to mention. So I will answer all this in the Facebook group right now while this video is converting because I can't do much else. And I will see you all tomorrow. Let me know if you need anything. I love you all madly and have a fantastic Sunday. Bye.